The Lightning still have 2 more days till they play their first game in a week. While they take a little time off, I'll revisit some thoughts I had on the Lightning team all the way from the preseason and how they've gone so far in the first month of the NHL season.
You're Locked On Lightning, your daily podcast on the Tampa Bay Lightning, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Josh Sperber here, thanking all of you for making Locked On Lightning your first listen every day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And if your team is the Tampa Bay Lightning, then this is the show for you. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. And we're going to get started talking about some Lightning Award Watch. At the beginning of the season, I had a couple of Lightning players on the watch for some awards. One award that I don't think I talked as much about in the preseason was Conor Geeky's quest for the Calder Cup. I mentioned that a little bit yesterday. I definitely think that by the end of the year, he's a possibility. His stats certainly need to get pumped up really quickly. He's still about 7-8 points behind just about the rest of the rookies in the league. But I think he's going to get the opportunities, and it's going to put him in a situation where the Calder Cup is a possibility. I think Macklin Celebrini is certainly a guy who, if he's fully healthy, just as good as he has played, he is someone that can take that trophy. But Conor Geeky, I think, is going to be in competition for it. He might be a finalist for it at the end. Don't know if he's going to win it, but, I think if you see an uptick in some goals and assists, he might end up coming home with some hardware. I think he just needs to put more points on the board. Goaltenders, Andrei Vasilevskiy was a guy who I tabbed as a potential Vezina pick this season. And so far, he hasn't had a bad season. 259 goals allowed average, 6 wins in 11 games, still 1 win away from becoming the fastest goaltender in NHL history to 300 career goals. But milestones isn't going to win you any awards. The play on the ice will. And I think Vasilevskiy has been really solid. It's not again, he hasn't had a bad season, but I just don't think he's done enough to merit consideration right now for the Vezina trophy. I think he's obviously got the talent for it, a healthy and, on his game. Andrei Vasilevskiy is absolutely, if not the best goaltender in the NHL. But at the start of the season, there have just been too many close games that haven't gone the Lightning's way that, you got to put some of the blame on Vasilevskiy for. And yes, I think that the Lightning need to, tighten up defensively. That's something that we've talked about a whole lot. But it's at the end of the day, that shootout against the Flyers, that's on those 2 goals are on Vasilevskiy. And, obviously the Lightning should have put a couple in the back of the net as well. But there have just been, again, I don't think he's out of the race. Just he's certainly not the favorite for the Vezina right now. But I think there is one award that can absolutely go to a player on the Tampa Bay Lightning, and that is the Hart Trophy. I think that's going to couple with the Art Ross Trophy potentially, and by the way things going right now, the Rocket Richard Trophy. And that's Nikita Kucherov. It's obvious that he has been one of the best players, if not the best player on the offensive side in the NHL so far. He's among the league lead in points, goals, up there in assists. I mean, Kucherov has done everything that the Lightning could hope for and more. Tied for second in goals right now. And points, he is fourth, just one behind Cole Makar of the Avalanche. And assists, he's up there too. He's just been so dominant on the offensive side. I don't think he's going to end up winning the Rocket Richard Trophy. That's maybe the only reward that he doesn't get. But I think that the Lightning's success is going to be tied with Nikita Kucherov. I think their offense, their team is going to go about as far as he takes them. And I think, the Art Ross is certainly a possibility, but I really think he's going to need to have just an epic season for the Lightning to make the playoffs. It's been tough for them in a couple of close games, but I don't want to say he needs to step up because, again, he's done everything and more that the Lightning could ask for from their star player, has Kucherov. But, obviously right now he's not on pace for the Rocket Richard or for the Art Ross Trophy. But I do think the Hart Trophy, the most valuable player, is an award that can absolutely go to Nikita Kucherov. Because I think if you look at the essence of what that award means, a lot of times people just think it's, give it to the best guy on the best team. But I like to think of the MVP as the definition, as the player who is most valuable to his team. And right now, I just can't think of one individual player who makes his team go as much as Nikita Kucherov does on the Lightning offense. I mean, he's had a point in just about every game this season. And it seems like any, game-winning goal, game-tying goal, any kind of clutch goal, Kucherov either scored it himself or dished the helper to get it to the person who did. So I think that Nikita Kucherov, to me, is unquestionably the most valuable player in the NHL because the Lightning would be bottom feeders in the league if it wasn't for Nikita Kucherov right now. And even comparing the stats to the rest of his team, assists, he's got one more than anybody. Goals, he's got two more than anybody. Points, he's got 8 more than anybody. Still with 2 game-winning goals, a power play goal, a +5. I mean, he is just synonymous with offensive production. And I'll continue to double down on Nikita Kucherov for Hart Trophy until the awards get released, in which case I'll either be saying, I told you so, or finding some way to eat my words. I mean, I just think that this is going to be Kucherov's year. He's starting off so strong, and he's just having such an elite season. And it's kept the Lightning in a position that they want to be in. I think, it's unquestionable that Kucherov has been the best player on the Lightning over the course of this season so far. I don't think that surprises anyone, certainly not me, but it's true. Kucherov has been synonymous with the team's success at every stage of this season so far. And I think if Kucherov continues his level of play and can help lead the Lightning to the playoffs, he can get the Art Ross Trophy. Because I think a lot of people doubted the Lightning after, in pretty quick succession, giving up Steven Stamkos and trading Mikhail Sergachev for 2 young players. The Lightning are not an elite team in the league right now, but they're playing like a playoff team. They're in playoff position right now in their division and in their conference. And if the Lightning don't make the playoffs, then unless he does end up with the Art Ross Trophy, which is always a possibility with Kucherov, he can defend his crown, won it last year with those 100 assists and 44 goals. But I think that the Art Ross, I think that the Art Ross Trophy is still definitely possible. I can't say that right now my prediction's still lining up to be right because right now he's not on pace to win it. But I think that if the Tampa Bay Lightning make the playoffs and Nikita Kucherov puts up numbers that are in any way similar to the remarkable year that he had last season, I think he wins the Hart Trophy and gets recognized as the MVP of the league, because to me, doesn't seem like there's a question. He is carrying this Lightning team. Again, he's still getting help. He's not doing it all by himself, but Nikita Kucherov is carrying a lot of the weight for a Lightning team that in a lot of people's eyes are overachieving. And I think some of that has to do with the offseason moves that Tampa Bay made to improve some of their forward depth, to get some younger guys on their team, and, of course, replace the players they lost. We're going to go over some of those Lightning offensive or offseason moves when we return here on Locked On Lightning. Get the right life insurance for you for less at selectquote.com/LockedOnNHL. Go to selectquote.com/LockedOnNHL today to get started. That is selectquote.com/LockedOnNHL. SelectQuote is one of America's leading insurance brokers with nearly 40 years of experience, helping over 2 million customers to find over $700 billion in coverage since 1985. Other life insurance brokers offer you impersonal, one-size-fits-all policies that may cost you more and cover you less, while SelectQuote's licensed insurance agents work for you to tailor a life insurance policy for your individual needs in as little as 15 minutes. You invest so much time to take care of yourself and to be the healthiest, best version of you. SelectQuote's policies can reward that effect, and their policies are exclusive to SelectQuote.com. So go to SelectQuote.com/LockedOnNHL to get started, and that will get you the right insurance for you for less. Now it's time to break down some of the Lightning's off-season moves and how they have impacted the team so far. I think the first player that we should spotlight is Victor Hedman, because this was maybe the easiest offseason move for the Tampa Bay Lightning. I don't think anyone doubted his appointment as captain, but I think it just, it merits saying how good of a job he has done as the Lightning captain. I mean, he, in every stretch of the way, whether it's in the locker room, handling, media people like myself post-game after a couple of tough games, or just being a leader on the ice with his team, Victor Hedman has truly been a captain. And that's, not even beginning to start with the help that him and his wife have committed to the Tampa Bay area in hurricane relief. So, I mean, I didn't just want to do this as a bit of a hat tip to Victor Hedman, but I think, his promotion to captain deserves mention as merit and deserves applause, because Victor Hedman has just been a true legend of the game, and that has been cemented with that C on his chest this season. But Hedman certainly not the most high-profile move of the offseason. Lightning flipped a draft pick for Jake Gensel, previously of the Pittsburgh Penguins, who dealt him to the Carolina Hurricanes on the deadline. And the Hurricanes didn't want to pony up the 7-year, north of $80 million deal that the Lightning did for Jake Gensel just a couple of days later, committing to Gensel as their left wing as they let go of Steven Stamkos. And Stammer and the Predators have not done so well this season. That move has not gone as many people have predicted, including myself. Honestly, I thought the Predators were going to be posing a lot greater challenge to the rest of the Western Conference. But right now, Nashville, 11 points, fewest in the entire Western Conference. 5-9-1. And that is just not what I expected from a team with Steven Stamkos on it. It certainly seems like the Lightning have gotten the better of that move. Jake Gensel has been, I think, everything the Lightning could have hoped for. I mean, the only possible exception to that would be to be leading the Bolts in a category, but he's top 5 in goals, ranked 4th on the team in goals and assists, and he's tied for 3rd in points with a plus minus at +6 to put him 4th on the Lightning team. So he has been remarkably consistent, and also he's kept out of the box. 2 of his 5 goals have been on the power play, and only 1 penalty that he has committed. So he has scored more power play goals than penalties committed, in addition to the fact that he has blended in seamlessly with that Lightning offense. Even for the little bit where he went down to the second line for one of the games that Braden Point was out, whoever Gensel has been on the ice with has played well with him. And I think it is shown that the Lightning made a good move by picking up Jake Gensel as a guy who could establish himself as a franchise cornerstone. And I think with a start to the season he has had in the first 14 games, he's well on his way to doing that. Obviously, he's going to need a lot of time with these Tampa Bay Lightning to, cement some more legendary status as we've seen from past Lightning forward greats. But I think he certainly has that option. That's clearly what the team wants for him, giving him that 7-year contract. And he's lived up to expectations, I think. Absolutely. One move we can't talk about as much as Lucas Fejkovsky. We'll go into that a little bit in the next segment, but he has been in the AHL, a little bit injured this season, currently inactive for the Crunch. So that move really hasn't blossomed into anything. Cam Atkinson is an interesting one because the stats, I don't think show what he provides with the team. I mean, getting the chance to see him in the locker room after practice, he's a locker room guy. I mean, he's, a good team guy that most of the squad seems to have bonded really well with. So, I mean, you definitely like to see some more offensive production. Is -7. It makes him one of the lowest plus minus on the team. But I think that he still provides enough veteran leadership, and at the very least, helps keep everyone loose and together in the locker room. So I think we do need to see some more on ice production from him, but you got to love the effect that Cam Atkinson has had in the locker room. And one of the most surprising moves of the offseason, we'll talk about right after Zemgus Girgensson, who is someone else that I think you just want to see more from. He has more penalties than anything else in his 13 games with the Lightning. He is not factored into a goal or an assist. It just kind of seems like he just hasn't made much of an impact. And it's not like he was a high profile signing. I think the Lightning definitely signed Girgensson to just add a little bit of depth on that forward spot. As Zemgus has played 10 years in the NHL and still yet to score 100 goals, yet to dish out 100 assists. His next assist will be his 100th, which is on the low end of average when in a career of his length. So, he's been a good guy to have on the team. Again, another guy you want to see some more production for. Last but not least, the Mikhail Sergachev trade sent waves throughout the NHL. Connor Geekie, JJ Moser in exchange for the Lightning first liner. Sergachev has been exactly that with the Utah Hockey Club. Does have a -4 plus minus coming off a year where he was -16 in 34 injury-riddled games with the Lightning last season. 15 games in Utah, 2 goals, 8 assists. And he's getting a lot of minutes. 25 minutes of ice time plus is more than he has had in his entire career per average. So I think the Utah Hockey Club is certainly getting what they wanted out of that trade, but I think the Lightning honestly are making out possibly even better. JJ Moser has a significantly better plus minus than Sergachev, though Sergachev has factored more in on the offensive side in assists, just 6 more assists than Moser, and that's it, or 4 more assists than Moser. That's it. They both have 2 goals. Moser, though, has a plus minus of +8. And I mean, I haven't seen as much of Sergachev as I have of Moser, but it's not a drop off between the two. JJ has been that good. And Connor Geekie, I think his potential could make that deal of a guy who was a rising star in the NHL could turn that into an absolute steal for the Tampa Bay Lightning if Geekie turns into the player that a lot of his teammates and coaches believe that he can be. And with JJ Moser seamlessly replacing Sergachev in that right D spot, then that trade just looks better and better as the season goes on so far for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And a couple other things that we might be looking at in the future are call-ups. We talked a little bit about some of the guys in the AHL. Gage Gonzalez was just up from the Lightning. Who might be next as we take a look at the Syracuse Crunch after about 1 month of their season? You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. I know you guys heard Florida. Prize Picks, the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so that your lineups stay in play, even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, Prize Picks keeps your lineup live. It's the best place to get real money sports action, so join over 10 million Prize Picks users and sign up today. When you do sign up today, you get $50 instantly when you play just $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday, where every Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. And Taco Tuesday is today, so you guys might want to check that out. To do that, download the Prize Picks app today and use the code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. For special promotions like Taco Tuesday, check out the Prize Picks app, download it now, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. And another place that you should run to is the Joint Chiropractic, where they have 23 Tampa Bay area locations and a team of fantastic professionals that can help you manage your pain. I went in for back pain, and they gave me a stretching program, did some stretches on me that I don't think I'd be able to repeat by myself. And it, for the most part, has fixed my problem. I'm still on their stretching program and still going back for sessions to one of their 23 Tampa Bay area locations. So many convenient places for you to manage your pain at the Joint Chiropractic if you live in the Tampa Bay area. Final segment of today's game, we take a dip into the minor leagues as both the Solar Bears and Syracuse Crunch are starting the season. It's been a tough year so far for the Syracuse Crunch at 500, 5-5-1, with one of those losses being in overtime. 61 games left, and they have won 5 of their first 11. And the Syracuse Crunch are obviously a team to keep your eye on if you're a Lightning fan, because that is where some Bolts prospects come up from. Gage Gonzalez was one who was up. That was the first Crunch call-up of this season in the regular season before Gonzalez was sent back down. That is a good sign, not because we don't want to see Gage on the Lightning roster, but because it likely means that Braden Point will be available and suit up for Thursday's game against Winnipeg, where he is much needed. But it just had me thinking about, why Gage? Who else could it be from the Syracuse Crunch? And the guy that we talked about a lot was Derek Pulio, the defender in the last game. 3 goals, 4 assists, tied for the point lead with Dylan Duke on the Syracuse Crunch. And he is someone that I also think could be called up for the Lightning at some point this season, maybe whether it's for an injury replacement or not. Duke is in his first full season with the Crunch, 4th rounder in 2021, and still pretty young, 21 years old. 7 points, tied for the team lead. 4 goals, leads the team. 3 assists, is second on the team. And he had 3 of his 7 points in a game on the 20th of October for the Syracuse Crunch, in a game that the Crunch came away with the victory, 5-2 win over Belleville, with a goal and 2 assists coming from Dylan Duke. And I don't think he is going to be super high on the call-up list, just because, they might they're getting him some more time. This is going to be his first full season in the AHL. He might get a late season call-up depending on how the Lightning are doing, but he is starting to get up there and starting to establish himself as one of the premier younger offensive players in the Tampa Bay Lightning farm system. Gage Gonzalez, though, has been excellent. 6 assists, still looking for his first AHL goal. Joel Teasdale is someone who has performed well in the clutch. He's listed as left wing. And Teasdale, a guy who has a bit more experience in the AHL. I know the Lightning are a lot more keen on using their homegrown players, especially when they get called up. But Teasdale has been in the AHL since 2020. 3 seasons with Laval, last year with Iowa, and this year 3 goals and 3 assists, including 2 power play goals for the Syracuse Crunch. And it's those power play goals that bring him to mind as someone that the Lightning could call up next. The Lightning are, on the lower end of the middle of the pack when it comes to power plays this season. That has been something that they have been trying to improve throughout the offseason, at the start of the season. Tampa Bay is 19th in the NHL with a power play percentage of 17.8. Now, Teasdale might not be the most versatile player. There might not be younger guys who can play more positions around the ice, but he's a guy who has been around professional hockey for a while. And the way he's playing this season, with a couple of really clutch goals for the Crunch, with success on the power play, that could be something that the Lightning look to. It's another reason that Derek Pouliot could be called up to bolster the defensive depth as well. I would have liked to say Sveikovsky, but his injury kind of complicates that. Gage Gonzalez, I think, is always going to be a guy that could be quickly on a plane down to Tampa. Gabriel Sturck and Nico Huhtinen are other rookies, as well as Dylan Gill, that are interesting. Connor Sheary was waived by the Lightning and sent down to the AHL, so he, I think, needs to have a really good season down there. Within 4 games, he's already got a goal and an assist. So he's certainly working his way to try and get back up to the Lightning roster. Logan Brown is someone who featured in preseason as well. Gabriel Sturck, Maxim Groshev are 2 of the 2 younger guys that might get a call-up. I think Groshev is someone that I'm really keeping my eye on as someone who can get called up this season. He can play center, he can play on the wings, and he has shined when the light has been on him for the Tampa Bay Lightning. He has been one of the best playing rookies in the past couple of preseason camps for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and I really think that he's earned his shot at the NHL. So he is certainly someone that the Lightning could look at to get called up. As for the next call-up, I'm hoping it's not for a while, but I do like the idea of Joel Teasdale getting an NHL a shot at some point in the season. I think if I had to be a betting man, and not that I don't think Gonzalez can come back up. Again, I think he might be just the first guy off the roster in the AHL this season. That just might be how the Crunch and the Lightning are doing it. But I think Teasdale is someone the Lightning could give a shot if they're looking for someone who can perform in clutch situations. And he's helped on the power play for Syracuse, might be able to do that in the NHL as well. And that's certainly something that the Lightning might have to take advantage of at some point in this season. And that is going to be it for today's episode of Locked On Lightning. Once again, I am Josh Sperber, and I want to thank all of you for tuning in to today's episode of Locked On Lightning and making Locked On Lightning your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On Fantasy Hockey to become a fantasy hockey expert and get the edge over your league mates with daily tips from Steal and Flip. Find Locked On Fantasy Hockey on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts, and make sure to give us a follow, a like, a subscription on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. We really appreciate the support. Thank you again for tuning in. From Josh Sperber and the rest of the crew here at Locked On. Appreciate the views, and go Bolts. We'll see you guys tomorrow.